All right, so you guys sent in some really fascinating stuff on that presidential address to Congress,
Yeah.
and going to break it all down.
Absolutely.
Seems like this address had just about everything,
Yeah, it did.
from economic policies and social initiatives to a whole lot happening internationally.
Right.
Where should we even start?
Well, even before the address even started,
Okay.
it sounds like there was like this buzz in the air, like a
Yeah.
new tie, a divided Congress,
Hmm.
some standing, some seated.
I saw that.
It really kind of sets the scene for what's to come.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And then, bam, right out of the gate,
Okay.
the president jumps right into the election results.
Okay.
And he's really emphasizing that, he sees this as like a clear mandate from the people.
Oh, wow. Okay, so he's coming in strong.
Yeah.
You mentioned a lot about economic policies.
Right.
Did those seem to follow a particular theme?
Absolutely. I think the theme here is common sense,
Okay.
deregulation, hiring freezes, and a real laser focus on cutting what he sees as wasteful spending.
Okay, I'm interested to hear some of those examples.
Oh, yeah.
What stood out to you?
Well, some of the examples are pretty eyebrow-raising.
Okay.
For example, cutting funding for diversity, equity, and inclusion scholarships in Burma,
Wow.
halting research on
What was it?
making mice transgender.
Oh my gosh.
It seems like these were carefully chosen to make a statement about, government overreach.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
They certainly grab your attention.
Yeah, they do.
And then there's this gold card thing. I mean,
Right.
a fast track to citizenship for successful people from other countries
Yeah.
to help reduce the national debt.
Yeah.
Sounds like a pretty bold idea.
It is bold.
What are the potential implications of something like that?
Well, on the surface, it seems like it's geared toward attracting talent,
Yeah.
boosting the economy.
Right.
But, it does raise some questions.
Like what?
Well, about fairness.
Okay.
And, whether it could create a system where wealthy people have an even easier path to citizenship.
Interesting.
It definitely ties into the president's larger economic narrative, though. Bringing back manufacturing to the USA.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you mentioned companies like Honda
Right.
and Taiwan Semiconductor
Yeah.
announcing plans to build plants here in the U.S.
Yeah.
Is that a direct result of the president's policies,
Well,
or are there other things going on?
it's probably a mix of different factors.
Okay.
But the president is definitely claiming these as victories
Uh-huh.
and, using them to bolster this America First message.
Okay, so we're starting to see a theme emerge here.
Yeah.
And it's not just about economics.
Right.
It's about reclaiming what he sees as a loss of American power
Yeah.
and prestige on the world stage.
Absolutely.
It sounds like this America First idea
Uh-huh.
is going to be a recurring theme throughout the whole address.
I think so.
Does it extend to social issues as well?
Definitely. And this is where we see kind of a shift
Okay.
to a more emotional appeal.
Mm.
The president shares the story of Peyton McNabb,
Okay.
a young athlete
Yeah.
who was injured by a transgender athlete,
Okay.
and uses this as a lead-in to his executive order banning men from women's sports.
So he's using this story to make a point
Right.
about
Right.
protecting women and girls.
Right. Exactly. He follows a similar pattern with the stories of Lycan Riley and Jocelyn,
Okay.
both of whom were victims of crimes
Oh, gosh.
that were committed by illegal immigrants.
Okay.
These stories are used to justify stricter border security
Mhm.
and this thing called the Lycan-Riley Act,
Okay.
which aims to detain dangerous criminal aliens.
So it seems like he's really drawing a line here
Right.
between us and them,
Yeah.
playing into fears about safety and security.
Yeah, for sure. But then there's also that heartwarming story about DJ Daniel,
Okay, yeah, you've heard about that.
the 13-year-old with brain cancer who wants to be a police officer. And the president makes him an honorary Secret Service agent.
Yeah, it seems like a little bit of a tonal shift there.
It does. It's a moment of, warmth and compassion
Yeah.
amidst a very serious discussion about crime and punishment.
Yeah.
But it's also a clever way to transition into another key issue:
What's that?
child cancer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The president cites rising rates
Hmm?
and highlights this new commission that's led by Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Okay.
to investigate potential environmental causes.
Wow. Okay, so he's connecting these seemingly disparate issues
Yeah.
under this umbrella of protecting children.
Right.
It's powerful.
It is. And that same narrative continues as he tackles what he calls gender ideology indoctrination in public schools.
Okay.
He ultimately calls for a ban on sex changes for minors,
Hmm.
framing it as a fight to protect children from, harmful ideologies and practices.
So it seems like this focus on protecting children is kind of a thread throughout his approach to social issues.
Yeah, it seems to be a major theme.
Well, what about internationally? You mentioned that some pretty big moves on the foreign policy front.
Oh, absolutely. This is where the America First rhetoric really takes center stage.
Okay.
The president lays out these plans to reclaim American dominance,
Yeah.
starting with a huge investment in the military.
Okay.
He talks about this ambitious Golden Dome missile defense shield
Wow.
and reviving the shipbuilding industry.
Okay.
But then he just throws in this real curveball,
What's that?
a proposal to reclaim the Panama Canal.
Wait, reclaim the Panama Canal.
Yeah.
That's surprising. What's
Yep.
the justification for that?
Well, he cites historical significance,
Right.
claims that agreements have been violated,
Hmm.
and this overall sense that America has been taken advantage of on the world stage.
Yeah.
It's definitely a provocative move,
Yeah,
and one that, signals a potential shift in global power dynamics.
for sure. And then there's Greenland.
Right.
He mentions its strategic importance,
Yeah.
even suggests the possibility of statehood. It sounds like he's not afraid to shake things up internationally.
Not at all. And his stance on the conflict in Ukraine kind of reinforces that.
How so?
Well, he calls for peace negotiations,
Okay.
but he also criticizes European countries for not spending enough on their own defense,
Mm.
implying that, they're relying too heavily on American support.
Fair enough.
It's all very much, in line with this America First worldview,
Right.
asserting American strength
Yeah.
and demanding more from allies.
Oh, okay. There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah,
We've covered the economic policies,
right.
the focus on social issues,
Uh-huh.
and this bold approach to foreign policy.
Yeah.
What else stood out to you about the address?
Well, it's interesting how he weaves in personal stories
Okay.
to make a broader point.
Right.
Take Mark Fogel, for example,
Okay.
the American teacher who was detained in Russia.
Right, right.
The president highlights his release
Yeah.
and that heartwarming reunion with his 95-year-old mother. It's a very strategic blend of, hard power
Mhm.
and soft power.
It makes you wonder how much of this is like
Right.
calculated political strategy
Yeah.
and how much is genuine conviction.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, then we have this assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania.
Right. And the president ties that into his narrative, too,
How so?
saying that, he believes he was spared
Yeah.
to make America great again.
That's a powerful statement,
It is.
connecting his personal experience to this grander national purpose.
Absolutely.
And he ends on this really dramatic note,
Yeah.
declaring that the golden age of America has only just begun.
Yeah.
It's a bold claim.
It is.
But then you have those responses from Bernie Sanders
Right.
and that female politician
Yeah.
offering totally different perspectives.
Exactly. They critique his economic policies,
Okay.
raise concerns about social justice,
Ah.
warn against authoritarianism.
Wow.
It highlights just how divided the country is right now.
It really does feel like we're at a crossroads.
Yeah.
So much of this address seems to be about strength
Uh-huh.
and dominance.
Right.
But how does that actually play out in a world that's so interconnected?
That's a great point. It's one thing to talk about America first,
Right.
but it's another to actually, navigate the complexities of a globalized world.
Absolutely. I mean, take
Yeah.
trade, for example.
Right.
The president's focus on tariffs to protect American industries
Yeah.
could easily lead to retaliation from other countries.
Exactly. So instead of making America stronger,
Yeah.
it could actually backfire and hurt the economy.
And it's not just about economics.
Right.
Those kinds of actions can damage relationships
Yeah.
with allies,
Mm-hmm.
create opportunities for adversaries,
Uh-huh.
and erode trust in the international system.
Yeah. Sounds like a dangerous game to play.
It does, especially with all the challenges we're facing right now
Right.
that require global cooperation.
For sure.
Things like climate change,
Absolutely.
pandemics,
Yeah.
cybersecurity threats.
These are all issues that no single country can tackle alone.
Right.
It requires collaboration,
Ah,
diplomacy,
yeah.
a willingness to find common ground.
So is the president's approach setting us up for more conflict
It's certainly a risk,
than cooperation?
but there's also a strategic element to it.
What's that?
He's essentially trying to renegotiate the terms
Hmm.
of America's engagement with the world,
Okay.
pushing back against what he sees as unfair trade deals, demanding more from allies,
All right.
taking a hard line against adversaries.
It almost sounds like he's saying,
Yeah.
we'll cooperate, but only on our terms.
In a way, yes. And it's important to understand that this approach has its proponents.
Okay.
They argue that America has been taken advantage of for too long,
Right.
and that it's time to prioritize our own interests.